Good afternoon. My name's David Briggs. I'm the innkeeper here at the Hotel Coolidge, and it's pretty thrilling to be right here, right now, looking at you. This is going to be a real treat. I think you know that. The Coolidge Salon Series has been around for about 10 years off and on. I only do it when the spirit moves me. And of course, you know who the spirit is today. Before we get to the specific introductions, I want to encourage you to take a look at a most unique exhibit we have in the Vermont Room before you leave today. It's free, open to the public, and it's a quick study, but then you might want to come back. It's called the Peggy Project, and the subtitles are A World War, A Career Change, and a Time Capsule. World War references the fact that we're now 80 years from World War II. That's when Peggy was born. And 40 years later, on a career change, she got her master's degree at School for International Training in Putney and went off, hired by the Sumitomo Steel Company, to live in Osaka, Japan, where she taught English as a second language for 8 years. She saved up the most thoughtful collection of cultural and domestic things you can imagine, brought them back, or they were shipped back, and they went into a barn in Brandon, Vermont, where they stayed packaged up for 31 years. We opened them up this past summer, decided to make them into this exhibit. So, World War, career change, time capsule. Very authentic, and there's some really cool stuff there. So do avail yourself of that. So, back to the Salon Series. To get tonight with us documenting it are the people from JAM. And they include Chico Eastridge. Chico's dad, Ed Eastridge, was one of our performers in the Salon Series with a person you may know named Ted Mortimer. They did a thing called Ed and Ted on their guitar. So it's that caliber of people that have been at this mic. So tonight, I want to introduce to you our performers. The first performer playing the bass is Peter Concilio, and Peter has been seen many times at the Skunk Hollow Tavern and also with Sonny Saul at the bookstore in Woodstock. So, Peter. He seems cultured. I said, Peter, how could you be so bass? Now, is that my standard? On the piano, or the real backup man for this whole performance, is Bob Merrill. And Bob, as a musician, is, shall we say, ubiquitous. And the sweetener, with her wonderful voice, who's been on all the stages, including, of course, the Briggs Opera House and the Northern Stage, is Laine Gillespie. Now, before I bring out the feature, hold on.
What a great group.
Thanks. Quiet, please, we're rehearsing. This is no joke. You're going to understand why I had to go through that.
Which you have.
Now, Maynard Goldman, as you know, has been very popular with the Osher series. He's expressed himself verbally, analytically, politically, otherwise. And when I first met Maynard, we hit it off, and that's why we're here today. And I said, oh, you must be from the Goldman Band. And he didn't know who the Goldman Band was. Well, Edwin Franco Goldman's created the Goldman Band in New York City as sort of a public band in 1918. It lasted for 93 years, and Maynard had never heard of it. Nothing I like better than one-upping a Harvard guy. Along the lines, when we were getting ready for this show, Maynard reminded me that when Frank Sinatra had a show, the terms in the green room were pretty detailed. And he was sort of winking like, this is what I expect. I'm the producer, so I said, okay. So this is the list. A color TV with second input for in-house pickup, an upright piano for the dressing room, private telephone with dedicated line, 1 bottle each of Absolute, Jack Daniel's, Chivas, Courvoisier, Beefeater, gin, white, and red wine, assorted mixers, 24 sodas, regular and diet, 1 fruit bowl, 1 cheese tray with brie, 2 egg salad sandwiches, 2 chicken salad sandwiches with minimal mayo, and then the 2 tuna sandwiches are crossed out for ham and cheese, 3 cans of Campbell's chicken and rice soup, 12 rolls of cherry lifesavers, 12 rolls of assorted lifesavers, 12 boxes of Luden's cough drops. Well, by the time I got to that number, I was in Reading, Pennsylvania in a warehouse to find the only remaining boxes of Luden's cough drops. And so I gave it up. Please welcome the featured performer, Maynard Goldman.
I mean, this is absolutely amazing. I didn't know I had this many friends. And I suspect they're not my friends, they're Sue's friends. This is an incredible event for me. And I just want to thank you all for coming and for having enough confidence that you would enjoy an afternoon. And I hope that indeed that you will enjoy it. I'm thrilled to be here. Of course, at my age, I'm thrilled to be anywhere. So I did turn 88 years old a few months ago. At the age of, on August 8th, 8/8/88. So I said to myself, self, you have to do something about this. And that was kind of a culmination of events that led to us being here this afternoon. My good friend David, who you've met, he's still looking for the Luden's cough drops, was kind enough to introduce me to these incredible folks. I didn't know any of them, and we have been working together for a couple of months. They are not only great musicians, but they are terrific people. So put your hands together for these 3 wonderful people. Bob, Peter, and Laine. And I can tell you that any success that we have here this afternoon is due to them, certainly. I think you all know that this is an Osher benefit. I have been working with this organization for over a dozen years. I think, as best I can tell, close to 40 different programs, over 1,500 students, many in this room, and some who I see. This room we've been working in for, I think, 7+ years. Dave does not provide a bar during the class, unfortunately, but I think I'm going to talk to him about that as we go forward. But I want to dedicate this event to a few special people who were friends and students who have passed on, who were wonderful supporters, some of whom were actually in my very first class. Steve Adamick, Dave Bradley, Brian Blanchette, Sandy Hoey, Paul Hoffman, George Sutherland, and Marion Widger. They leave indelible memories in our hearts and minds. Marion Widger's daughter, who's with us today, told me after her mother passed at 100 just a few months ago that, thank you very much, Bob, that Osher classes added 10 years to her mother's life. What better commentary could you have about what it is that we do at Osher? My idea for this event was to share a few reflections from my own modest experiences and hope they might resonate with some of yours. You might forget what I've said, but I hope you will remember how we make you feel this afternoon. Thank you again for coming. I thought I'd start with a story that may or may not be true, but it's a good story, about one of my favorite historical characters, Winston Churchill, who was, I don't have to tell you who Churchill was, but in the old days, Churchill, of course, in England was very important, and there was another gentleman in England at that time, George Bernard Shaw, the great playwright. And obviously they knew one another, and they didn't really get along very well. So one day, Shaw sent a telegram to Churchill, which read, "Opening new show, have 2 tickets, bring a friend if you have one." And Churchill sent back a telegram and said, "Unable to make opening, will attend second performance if there is one." There will be no second performance of this. I had a phone call this morning from Washington, D.C., from someone who identified himself as an unnamed person, who wondered if we would be available to open a certain ballroom sometime next year. I had a 2-word answer, and I hung up. When we are growing up, and later in life, as we see our parents and others aging, we rarely stop to consider or imagine our own mortality. As the Bob Dylan song says, how we laughed when we were playing as if tomorrow wasn't there. We often hear phrases like, "Old age is not for sissies," or "retirement is the road to nowhere," or "the golden years of brass." They sound clever enough, but they don't mean much until we reach the arc of irrelevance and the realization that we have concluded the ascending phase of our lives and entered into that unfamiliar space between relevance and unimportance. Age creeps up on us quietly, like the morning fog. There we are doing our thing, when almost imperceptibly it dawns on us that there are goals we are never going to achieve, things we will never get to do, places which we will never see or to which we will never return. My mother was born in Manchester, New Hampshire, and moved to the Boston area at a young age. She graduated from the Laine School of Music in Cambridge, which is still in existence, and taught classical musical lessons before she entered the world of fashion retailing. Either her piano or the big Victrola in our living room were constantly playing, and music was always in the air. It still is. My first memory of singing in public was in the 2nd grade when I sang this song from Gilbert and Sullivan's HMS Pinafore. I haven't performed this song in public for almost 80 years, so get ready. But it certainly means something quite different closer to the end of the journey than it did at the beginning. When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle on the big front door.
Polished up the handle of the big front door.
I polished up the handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He polished up that handle so carefully that now he is the leader of the Queen's Navy.
As office boy, I made such a mark that they gave me the post of a junior clerk. I served the writs with a smile so bland, and I copied all the letters in a big round hand.
He copied all the letters in a big round hand.
I copied all the letters in a hand so free that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He copied all the letters in a hand so free that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
In serving writs, I made such a name that an articled clerk I soon became. I wore clean collars and a brand new suit for the pass examination at the Institute.
For the pass examination of the Institute.
That pass examination did so well for me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
That pass examination did so well for he that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Of legal knowledge I acquired such a grip that they took me into the partnership. And that junior partnership, I ween, was the only ship I ever had seen.
Was the only ship that he ever had seen.
But that kind of ship so suited me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
That the kind of ship so suited he that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
I grew so rich that I was sent by a pocket borough into Parliament. I always voted at my party's call, and I never thought of thinking for myself at all.
He never thought of thinking for himself at all.
I thought so little they rewarded me by making me the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He thought so little they rewarded him by making him the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Now, landsmen all, whoever you may be, if you want to rise to the top of the tree, if your soul isn't fettered to an office stool, be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and you may be the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Stick close to your desk and never go to sea, and you all may be the rulers of the Queen's Navy.
So that's a little reminiscent of what's going on today. Mark Twain said, "The two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why." For me, figuring out why has a lot to do with the amazing friendships that I've been fortunate to share. For better or for worse, I have outlived many and said goodbye far too soon. People have always said they recognize me by my laugh. Maynard, we didn't see you at the theater last night, but we know you were there because we heard you laugh. The one thing I had in common with these friends was the ability to share wonderful laughs together, both in good times and in bed. This is a song older than I am, which isn't easy, written by Harry Woods in 1927, made famous by K-Star, a standard performed by Ray Charles, Dean Martin, and many other people. This is for the friends who stay by our side throughout the journey. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny,
But we'll travel along, singing a song, side by side.
we don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow.
But we'll travel the road, sharing the road, side by side. Through all kinds of weather.
What if the sky should fall?
Just as long as we're together.
It really doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their troubles and parted, we'll be the same as we started. Traveling along, singing a song,
Side by side. Take it, Bob and Peter. Through all kinds of weather. What if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together.
it really doesn't matter at all.
When they've all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started.
Traveling along,
Singing a song, side by side. Side by side.
Of course, there were the good old college days in Ann Arbor. Being brought up in the Boston, Cambridge environment, I was excited to experience a Midwestern campus with 25,000 students, served as student body president, joined a student exchange to the Soviet Union, moved on to Harvard Law School, ran for public office, managed several statewide political campaigns, met other young political candidates whose political careers were slightly better than mine, like Mike Dukakis and Ted Kennedy, although I remained close with them for many years. This next piece has always been one of my favorite college songs, although I never attended Yale. In fact, I tried to stay at New Haven as much as possible. Originated by the Whiffenpoofs, an a cappella group formed in 1908, which admitted women in 2018. We were creating memories, although we had no idea where we were going. From the tables down at Maury's, to the place where Louis dwells, to the dear old Temple Bar we love so well. Sing the Whiffenpoofs assembled with their glasses raised on high, and the magic of their singing casts a spell. Yes, the magic of their singing, of the songs we know so well, shall I wasting and my warning and the rest. We will serenade our Louis while life and voice shall last, and will pass and be forgotten with the rest. We are poor little lambs who have lost our way. Ba, ba, ba. We are little black sheep who have gone astray. Ba, ba, ba. Gentlemen songsters off on a spree, doomed from here to eternity. Lord, have mercy on such as we. Ba, ba, ba. Thank you. I come from a small family. Growing up, I had a younger brother who passed away much too early during the AIDS epidemic. Today, our entire family is here. Our son and daughter-in-law from D.C., Derek and Emily, and our two grandsons, Chas and Oliver from Chicago, who both flew in this morning. They got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be here. We are incredibly proud of their multifaceted accomplishments, and I am thrilled that they are able to join us today. But large or small, family plays an extraordinary part in all of our lives. This next piece is a beautiful song by Amanda McBroom about her dad and the actor Errol Flynn, about parents and children. In a hall, on a wall, in a house in Reseda, there's a poster hung up by 2 nails and a pin. It's her daddy, the actor, about to die with his boots on. He's the man standing up there beside Errol Flynn. He got 3rd or 4th billing at the end of each picture, but that ain't too bad, he would say with a grin. But he'd hold her hand tight as he pointed his name out. Only 4 or 5 names down below Errol Flynn.
Now fame it is fleeting, and stars they are falling and staying right up there. That's the business of art. And luck kisses on, and she passes by others. Disappointment and bourbon are hard on the heart. Now the women and the beers and the years with old Errol, they took their toll. They took him from my side. He kissed me goodbye at the old Union Station. That's the last time I saw him. That's the last time I cried. Now I'm sitting alone in a house in Reseda, watching the Late Show as the moonlight shines in. And up on the the screen. Well, there is my daddy. It's a sad, funny feeling. Now I'm older than him.
So you daddies and daughters, you sons and you mothers, remember life's over before it begins.
So love one another
and stand close together, as close as her dad did to old Errol Flynn. Sue, I don't know what you put in here, but it's unbelievable. I love it.
Edelweiss, right? Edelweiss? Edelweiss.
Yeah. The song that Laine chose to sing tonight is a classic from The Sound of Music, the last Rodgers and Hammerstein collaboration from the 1959 stage production with Theodore Bikel and Mary Martin, and the 1965 movie with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, who didn't sing one word in the entire movie. The voice was that of a man whose name was Bill Lee, not the Red Sox pitcher. There's an interesting backstory to the song. When the show was being previewed in Boston, there was a lot of concern about a particular scene, and that everyone seemed to feel that it needed another song. So one night, Theodore Bikel and Mary Martin sat down and wrote this song, which they presented to the playwrights the next day. After making a few changes, Rodgers and Hammerstein added the song to the show. The story was told to our son Derek, who is a theater director, by Bikel when Derek was directing him in an award-winning production. Laine?
Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me, blossom of straw, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever.
How do you honor the woman you have loved for more than 40 years? What can you say or do that could possibly tell her what she has meant to you over that time? Anyone that could put up with me during that period of time would certainly deserve a Nobel Prize. How lucky I have been to have this lady in my life. This love song I sang as a senior in high school in a musical called Allegro by Rodgers and Hammerstein. It was, in fact, one of their few commercial failures, but the song was recorded by Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, and a number of other folks. Here's looking at you, kid. A fella needs a girl to sit by his side at the end of a weary day. To sit by his side and listen to him talk and agree with the things he'll say. A fella needs a girl to hold in his arms when the rest of the world goes wrong. To hold in his arms and know that she believes that her fella is wise and strong.
When things go right and his job's well done, he wants to share the prize he's won. If no one shares and no one cares, what's the fun of a job well done or a prize well won?
A fella needs a home, his own kind of home, but to make his dreams come true. A fella needs a girl, his own kind of girl, my kind of girl is you. That stuff is really good. Of course, our lives are also measured by our work. That thing we do to earn a living, and for better or for worse, defines us as compared to everybody else. Most of my friends had successful careers of one kind or another, but what differentiated us was that almost every one of them had a job or a career or a profession, and they stayed with it most of their working lives. I was more like a billiard ball caroming around. It's hard to hit a moving target, you know. Law, politics, consulting, hotels, music, retailing, fashion, finance. Peripatetic or parapathetic? A few highlights and lowlights. A U.S. aid study in Vietnam during the war. Being arrested by gendarmes when I deplaned at an airport, at the Paris airport. Spending 5 nights in a convent, wait a minute, while negotiating a deal with Italian shoe manufacturers. Lunch with Fred Astaire at his Beverly Hills home. Please call me Fred. He was calling me Mr. Goldman until I waved my hand. I was there on behalf of Rudolf Nureyev, who I represented at the time, and I was trying to get Mr. Astaire to unretire for a single night. One night at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York, Rudolph desperately wanted to dance with Astaire. And we had a title, Astaire meets Nureyev. We had everything worked out, but Fred didn't want to play. And at the end of this very delightful luncheon, he said to me, "I'll be happy to give you Gene Kelly's telephone." But Rudolph wasn't interested. Christmas Eve, 1976, at the Presidential Palace in Bucharest, Romania. What? In a negotiation with President Nicolae Ceausescu, for the representation rights for one Nadia Comaneci, who had just won 3 golds and many other honors at the Montreal Olympics. It's interesting to note that some years later, on Christmas Eve, the president, Ceausescu, and his wife were executed for genocide. I don't think that had anything to do with our negotiations. And finally, assisting Suzanne in opening her store on Newbury Street. I need more of this stuff. Up in the morning, out on the job, working like a devil for my pay, while that lucky old son got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Fuss with my woman, toil for my kids, and sweat till I'm wrinkled and gray, while that lucky old son got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Good Lord above, don't you know I'm pining, tears all in my eyes. Send down that cloud with a silver lining, lift me to paradise. Show me that river, take me across, and wash all my troubles away. Like that lucky old son, give me nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Just in time. What a wonderful gift. I'm not sure I'm allowed to take bribes.
You're not in politics.
No. Religion has never been a major focus in my life. I've long been an agnostic, but I have always had friends from many kinds of backgrounds. A few months ago, we learned of the death of Tom Lehrer, one of the great satirists of the 20th century. I still remember seeing him perform in the 50s in clubs in Cambridge, Massachusetts. During those days, one of his best-known songs was a song called The Vatican Rag. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. But this next song, which is the last song he wrote, you might consider a Jewish Christmas carol. I hope you smile along with me. I'm spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica wearing sandals, lighting candles by the sea. I spent Shavuos in East St. Louis, a charming spot, but clearly not the spot for me. Those eastern winters, I can't endure 'em, so every year I pack my gear and come out here for Purim. Rosh Hashanah I spend in Arizona, and Yom Kippur way down in Mississippi. But in December, there's just one place for me. Amid the California flora, I'll be lighting my menorah like a baby in his cradle. I'll be playing with my dreidel. Here's to Judas Maccabeus. Boy, if he could only see us spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica by the sea. Thank you, Tom. What a guy. So he died, he was in his 90s, and he was a professor of math at Harvard, eventually transferred to Stanford, and then California. But he did not perform for profit after 1967. Oh. So all of these years, he has not performed at all. Obviously, he's not performing now. And he took all of his songs and put them into the public domain. So, and in fact, this is a good time for a plug. Ford, are you here? So, Ford. So we're doing a class in March, Ford and I, on Tom Lehrer. So come and have some laughs. We've been fortunate to make new friends as we have aged and remain active in our lives. Sue still works part-time in retailing, which she loves. I'm still leading Osher classes, which I love. We're active in the community, participating, reading, golfing, enjoying our family and friends, striving to stay relevant in these strange times. These are some roles, frankly, which we sometimes struggle to inhabit. But we are all part of something greater than ourselves. And we've been blessed with longer life and more robust health than many. This next song is a wonderful duet from the movie Gigi, 1958. The show in 1951 was the debut for a young lady named Audrey Hepburn. But that was not a musical. The score, of course, was written by Lerner and Lowe. In the movie, Hermione Gingold and Maurice Chevalier were the classic couple struggling to remember an old affair. But we look at it more broadly, thinking back on our lives and pushing ourselves to remember it well. We met at 9.
We met at 8.
I was on time.
No, you were late.
Ah, yes. I remember it well. We dined with friends.
We dined alone.
A tenor sang.
A baritone.
Ah, yes. I remember it well. That dazzling April moon.
There was none that night, and the month was June.
That's right. That's right.
It warms my heart to know that you remember still the way you do.
Ah, yes. I remember it well. How often I've thought of that Friday
Monday.
night when we had our last rendezvous, and somehow I foolishly wondered if by some chance you might be thinking of it too. That carriage ride,
You walked me home.
you lost a glove.
I lost a comb.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. That brilliant sky,
We had some rain
those Russian songs.
from sunny Spain.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. You wore a gown of gold.
I was all in blue.
Am I getting old?
Oh no, not you. How strong you were, how young and gay, the perfect love in every way.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. Gee, this stuff is good. Which one should I have? Back in the 80s, Sue and I used to go backpacking with wonderful friends from Los Angeles, together with a professional packer and his wife. We would fly into Bridgeport, California, a small town on the Nevada border, and ride in on horseback to the High Sierra on the border of Yosemite National Park, 10,000 feet in the air. These were wonderful trips. And in the 10 or more years that we went, I don't think we saw a total of 5 people on those trails during that time. We also had mules to carry the luggage, including several for wine, one for red and one for white. When it was over, we rode our horses out and headed for Lake Tahoe and Harrah's Hotel and Casino, where we would spend a few days reacclimating ourselves to civilization. During one of those trips, we saw George Burns. He was about 94 at the time, performing in a one-man show with a 13-piece band. As the show was concluding, he came over to the front of the stage where we were sitting. He leaned over, handed me a couple of cigars, and said to Sue, "Would you like to come on the road with me?" So help me God. I thought she might say yes. That was the first time I had heard this next song. At a bar down in Dallas, an old man chimed in, and I thought he was out of his head, just being a young man. I don't understand when I heard what that old man had said. He said, "I'll never again turn the young ladies' heads or go running off into the wind. I'm 3/4 home from the start to the end. I wish I was 18 again. I wish I was 18 again, going where I've never been. But old folks and old oaks standing tall. Just pretend I wish I was 18 again. Now time turns the pages, and oh, life goes so fast. The years take the brown hair away. I talk to some young folk. Hey, they don't understand the words this old man's got to say. I wish I was 18 again, going where I've never been. But old oaks and old folks standing tall, just pretend I wish I was 18 again. Lord, I wish I was 18 again. Service matters. This concept was ingrained in me by my parents, although they were quiet philanthropic donors. They worked long hours building and managing their business, but recognized the importance of leaning forward. Over the years, I've served on the boards of more than 20 nonprofit organizations, from a virtual startup to one with assets of tens of millions of dollars. I have also served as president, chair, and/or treasurer of many of these organizations for a total of over 60 years. The world today feels crazy, divided, uncertain. I think in many ways it's completely unrecognizable from the early decades of our lives. Do I really want to be 18 again? Or should I just face the fact that our grandchildren are going to be left to fix the incredible mess that we have left behind? I certainly don't want AI to answer that question. We've all been lucky, all of us in this room, to have found this special place between New Hampshire and Vermont with its natural beauty and other benefits. There are certainly issues in some of our communities, in our states, but we are better off than most. We may be a little geographically removed, but we can still influence decisions made by others with our actions. I try to be hopeful, although I have to admit there are days when my optimism flags. But I have a new mantra. Start each day as if it was the first day of the rest of your life, but live it as though it was the last. Let's have another round of applause for these great musicians. This song should be familiar to you. Written by George Weiss and Robert Teal. My favorite rendition is by the great Louis Armstrong. Please feel free to join us if you wish.
Please. I see trees of green,
Red roses too. I see them bloom for me think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yeah.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day
And the dark sacred night.
and I think to myself,
what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying.
we watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And I
Think to myself,
what
what a wonderful world.
Okay, you gonna stand up and bow? Okay.
Too much mail.
1, 2, 3.
No. Huh?
Thank you so much.
So, we want to wish you all a happy holiday, happy, healthy holiday. I hope to see many of you back in class next year. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you, everyone.